Hey, what is up, everybody? It is Uncle Mad. We are here for our Friday night live stream. Certainly a little bit later than normal, but it has been a busy evening for me. I refereed two high school soccer games here in the Nashville area, and then I just got done watching the live stream from Coachella of the first real Blink 182 concert in almost 9 years with Mark, Tom, and Travis all back together. So that was super exciting, super fun, super refreshing to see my favorite band back in their true formation, the real Blink 182 back together again. No shade to Matt Skiba, he did a great job filling in over the last few years for Tom during his latest sabbatical from the band. But it's good to see the one true real Blink 182 all back together again. Great set list. Got me super fired up to see the band as they head out on the road on tour together this summer. They're coming to Nashville. If you didn't see the video, one of the vlogs somewhere along the way a few months back, they put the tickets on sale. It was a catastrophe trying to buy them. Uh, Sold out super quick. Too fast for me to figure out what I was doing trying to buy them, and then the resale. They were back up for just an obnoxious amount of money, like almost immediately. So that was kind of annoying, kind of frustrating. So don't have tickets yet, but tentatively planning to not tentatively planning, am planning to go to Blink 182 when they come here to Nashville. If I end up having to pay a gajillion dollars to do so, so be it. It's my favorite band ever, and just seeing them tonight reaffirmed that. Originally, I'd planned to maybe do like two shows of Blink, like go to the Nashville show, hit a road show as well. Atlanta's around the same time as Nashville. Tampa Bay's around the same time as Nashville. So I was like, go down to Atlanta would be a fun trip to take. Going down to Tampa Bay, maybe popping over to Orlando, doing the things I like to do in Orlando, obviously would be fun. But if the prices don't drop off from what they're at on the resale market, seems unlikely I'd be able to do two shows because it's going to be very expensive just to go to the Nashville show. So then to do a second show and add in travel costs, probably not within the budgets of the blossoming, barely monetized channel that we have here. But still gonna go here in Nashville. Can't wait. Super excited, especially after seeing the show there. I think the show here is in July. Is it July or June? I think July, like July 16th, I think is the date I have in my head that Blink 182 is coming to Nashville. But I don't know. We'll get to that when we get to that later this summer. I mentioned Disney a little bit. There is some news from me on the Disney front. My last trip down there was this past January for the Walt Disney World Marathon weekend. I will be officially returning for the 2024 marathon weekend, stepping it up a bit this time. Last time I only did the half marathon. January 2024, I'll be heading down in there, and I've registered to do the full marathon. Not too concerned about it from a running perspective because that was kind of one of the takeaways I had of doing the half marathon is it's not the same as doing like a normal half marathon or a normal full marathon because you know it's easy to pace yourself because there's a lot of clusters where you're just not going to run that fast, and also you can stop and do pictures with the characters and stuff. I was pretty dead set after doing the half marathon that I was going to come back and do the marathon next because I watched a lot of other Disney YouTubers that I follow who did the marathon, and one of the things I didn't know that was a part of the deal, or not necessarily part of the deal, but you can do if you're doing the full marathon, because it runs up into the point where the parks are starting to open as you're finishing. They actually will let you jump on some of the rides as you're running through the parks, and even it kind of wraps up the last little stretch goes through World Showcase, so people would even stop in like spots in World Showcase and grab a beer and have like a beer to kind of drink across the finish line. I'm not a drinker, obviously, but just a cool experience that would be to like grab a beverage in World Showcase to have as you're finishing up a 26-mile race. Speaking of beer, tomorrow, a lot going on tomorrow, big day. I'm gonna keep this stream relatively short if I don't just end up rambling for an hour because I got to go to bed. I'm exhausted and I've got a big day tomorrow. got to get up early for some work stuff right out of the gates. Then after that, Jesta and I are going to the East Nashville Beer Festival. Not a drinker. Jesta loves her some beer though, and I'm very supportive of my wife. Wife, happy life. So take care of her. We'll go have some fun at that. And then tomorrow night we've got Nashville SC going up the road to my home away from home. As an honorary New Yorker, it's, you could even call it the Uncle Mad Derby. For the second time this season, we're taking on whoa, live TV, folks. We're taking on NYCFC, a rematch of the season opener that was down here at Geodis Park, the Man in Black match. Go back and watch that. We've got a live game day vlog from that here on the channel. Kind of weird to be getting, your second return leg against a team in kind of this early in the season. It feels like the season's still kind of in its infancy, and we're already going to have checked off playing NYCFC twice already, which is probably for the best. They seem to kind of be in a rebuild mode right now. A lot of the key players and the manager from their championship team of a couple years ago are all gone now, so they're kind of in the first phase of kind of putting the team back together. Obviously, they're backed by Citigroup, so they've got a great support structure that'll make that process go relatively quickly for them, so it's kind of good for us to catch them twice in the early part of the season as opposed to, if we play them now and then maybe play them in August when maybe they had a chance over the summer to kind of restock, not great. So, but definitely a sour taste in my mouth coming off last week's match against Toronto. Just the attack just looked so inept, just so dead in the water. We beat NYCFC pretty comfortably in the home opener in the start of the season, but just coming off the last match, it's just hard to see how there's going to be any attack. I'm interested to see what it's going to be like for the team playing at Citi Field. I think it's our first time actually doing the NYCFC baseball experience, playing on a baseball diamond. Because I think the only other time we played at NYCFC, it ended up being played at Red Bull Arena. So I think this is our first time playing them at one of the baseball stadiums that they've called home in their tenure in MLS. So don't know what impact or changes that could have on the match, but it'll be interesting nonetheless. Would expect Nashville SC to win this match. It's weirdly, I don't know that you could have a must-win match at this point in the season, but after dropping the points against Toronto last week and looking at what we've got coming up, we've got LAFC and Atlanta in our next two league matches, I believe. So going up against a kind of struggling NYCFC, even though it's a road match, this feels like a match Nashville SC really needs to find a way to grab 3 points. Don't know if they can do it, though, because the form coming off the last match just isn't there. The striker problem is just going to persist until something's done about it. I mean, I said coming into the season that I did not think CJ Sapong was going to bounce back, that I thought, older players, once they regress, they don't just magically get good again, and that seems to be the case. We're on goal drought watch to see if Sapong's going to keep it going and go a full calendar year without scoring a goal. I believe May 3rd is the date I have in my head. May 3rd, 2023 was his last league goal, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere around that time at least. So we are officially creeping up on a full calendar year without CJ scoring a goal. I'd love to see him break the streak. I'm not rooting against CJ. I would certainly love to see CJ Sapong, get a goal, get things going, because we need it. We need another goal scorer right now, but it just, to me, I don't think it's going to be him. I think his time is up. And when we get to the summer window and can make a move, make an adjustment, get a new striker in, we're just going to have to kind of hold the fort down until then. I kind of was weirdly thinking, CJ Sapong might weirdly have been one of the worst things that maybe ever happened to Nashville SC in a weird way, because Nashville SC has had this history of, there's been players that we were almost definitely surely 100% going to sign, and for whatever reason, the deals didn't get done in the preseason, and they ended up having to wait till the summer. We saw this last year with Shaq Moore, all through January and December, and especially after the trade of Alistair Johnson. It was kind of an unspoken thing. Nashville SC was going to sign Shaq Moore as their new starting right back. One of the problems I think that MLS teams run into is we're in a different season than every other league in the world, so it was our preseason, but Getafe, the La Liga club that, or I don't know if they were La Liga B or La Liga last year, but whatever, the club that Shaq Moore was at was in the middle of their season, so they decided they weren't really willing to part with him mid-season, so we had to wait till summer and their off-season to get him. Something similar happened a couple years back with Ake Loba, where in this winter, the preseason, it was almost like an unspoken thing. Nashville SC was going to sign him. Then for whatever reason, I don't know if it was money the club he was at was demanding. I don't know if they, similar to Shaq Moore, didn't want him to leave in the middle of the season. That deal didn't happen in the winter preseason window, held off to the summer. He showed up a little bit out of shape, but even worse for him, CJ Sapong had come in that same offseason, or in that winter offseason, and hit the ground running and was in the best form he'd been in quite some time in the MLS, scored a bunch of goals, played everything the way exactly Gary Smith wants his striker to play, and basically left no window of opportunity for Ake Loba to get a sniff into the team. And he never got into the team. He never was able to find his way. He was never able to kind of get his feet under him in MLS. And now he's on loan, destined to, come off the books, hopefully, to open up a DP spot. But CJ Sapong ruined Ake Loba. You could make the case that he's the worst thing that happened to, Nashville SC, because if Ake Loba had an open chance to come in and seize the striker spot, maybe he bangs in goals, maybe he finds his form, maybe he figures out how to play in the MLS, and he's an elite, high-level, young DP striker for Nashville SC to this day. But as it is, we got two grandpa strikers in CJ Sapong and Teal Bunbury that we're trying to squeeze the last bits of life out of. So it's going to be a struggle to get goals. I said it on the post game, or I think it was the day after the Easter vlog. I said I think the safest bet in all of sports gambling right now is whatever the under is for the Nashville SC match. Bet it, because Joe Willis is in incredible form. He's been, even though he can't get a sniff into the MLS Team of the Week for some reason, he's probably been the best goalkeeper in MLS this season. He's saved our butts a number of times, and the defense itself is playing pretty well. So, you'd expect us to not give up a goal. I would think a clean sheet's probably a safe bet, but also, are we going to score more than one goal ourselves? I don't really see how that happens, but, you never know. So if you're a betting man or woman, I would take the under in Nashville SC, NYCFC. Let me check the chat real quick. I know I see a bunch of stuff came in. Richard says, WWE stock is up to around $104. Might want to sell it. It's getting up there. It's, I'm keeping an eye on it. I know I've seen a lot of stuff that the peak might come sometime next year when they're due to get new TV rights deals. So I'm thinking that's kind of where I'm looking as maybe the sell point, but we'll see. I don't know. I may just keep it forever just to say I'm a WWE owner, but who knows. Nice to see Blink-182 back together. Just saw some clips. Yeah, great show. Really great set list. Some of their, deep cuts and all the big hits, obviously. So great show. I'm assuming on the Coachella YouTube channel will be up for replay if anybody had missed it and didn't know what was happening. It kind of was a last minute thing. They just sent out an email like yesterday announcing it. I don't know if they'd been previously announced for Coachella or not, but go back and check that out if you're a Blink-182 fan. It'll hits all the right notes for a Blink-182 show. You run marathons, but the steps at Nashville Stadium give you trouble. Like I said, the Disney Marathon is a little different than most marathons. I ran the Nashville Marathon back in like 2008, 2006, like 15, 16 miles, perfect. And then around mile 16, body started fighting back against me. And also, I don't know if the videos do justice to how steep the steps at Nashville SC are. They're a monster. And also, like, they're a terrible thing. I can't believe nobody's had a heart attack on them yet. New Tron ride looks pretty intense. Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos of the Tron ride. I've heard, mostly positive reviews for it. The one seemingly negative review or negative kind of connotation that people have for it is that it's very short. I think the total ride time is actually less than a minute, but the initial launch and kind of the first wave of it's supposed to be a lot of fun. It's supposed to be a really visually cool thing. It looks good. I'll talk. I think I'm going to do a more in-depth Disney video maybe this week, because there's maybe something else coming up outside of registering for the marathon that'll lock some things in terms of future Disney trips for me. So I may have a Disney video update coming this week. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, so you see that and get the updates there. Let's see. Isaac Flores in the chat says, sitting in section CO6, club seats for the Open Cup match. Any suggestions or tips? Well, you've already got my number one suggestion covered by being in club section, because one of the things that's super, super nice about the U.S. Open Cup matches is they put the tickets on sale to the general public, and that's one of the few times, if you're not a regular club member, you can snag club seats at normal prices, not having to pay the resale value. The times I've sat in club, I've I think the cheapest was we got them for maybe like $106 a ticket one game when we snagged them like right before a game when they kind of dropped, and I think people were just trying to get rid of them last minute. But for the Open Cup, they put them on sale to the, I think season ticket members had an open window before, and I don't know if they've started the general public sale of that match yet. But the club section tickets were only $60 a ticket for the U.S. Open Cup match, and that's all inclusive food, all inclusive beverage. You've got the nice club areas that you can hang out in before the match, halftime, during the match, a little bit even post match if you want to. My biggest recommendation for the club area just is get there early. I think gates open usually about 2 hours, hour and a half before the match starts. So, the second the gates open, you're able to go in there and get the all-inclusive food, all-inclusive beverage. So whatever the gate open time is for the Open Cup match, I would say, get there as early as you can so you can take as much advantage of the opportunity to eat and drink to your heart's content as you want. But yeah, like I said, you have already kind of done what my number one recommendation would be, and that's to snag the club tickets, because normally, you can't buy them at face value for like a normal league game. We actually looked into switching to club this season for our regular tickets, but apparently the club section came with like a 2-year package. You had to commit to 2 years for those seats, so none of those came open this year. So I've just been told to unlock the door. Hold on, I think my wife's home. She's been out with the girls tonight. Hang on, sit tight. Yeah, but I am looking forward to the U.S. Open Cup match, especially since we've got the club seats secured for that. We did that last year when Atlanta came to Geodis Park. I really want us to get an away day for the next match if we can. That was a lot of fun last year, going to Louisville for the away day. And I know the other teams in our kind of little bracket of the U.S. Open Cup are all kind of semi-local. Weirdly, San Antonio, who's coming here, is like the furthest one away from us. I think we had like Chattanooga, Memphis, Atlanta, and maybe one other kind of semi-close team. We're all kind of in our same little group, so get an away day there for that would be pretty cool. What is up with Lille? It's been very quiet on that front. Gary kind of downplayed it initially when he was hurt, but we're going on almost 2 months now that he's been out, and to me, it seems like he described it as like a re-aggravation of an injury that was kind of limiting him during preseason. So I think maybe they're just being extra cautious with it because it is a reoccurrence of a previous injury. They just, want to make sure he's all the way back before they get him back into the team. I think Gary said this week they've kind of targeted, we just keep coming back to this, the U.S. Open Cup match is potentially when they would work Leal back in, because that's kind of a less, high intensity competitive. There's going to be a chance to rotate the squad a little bit in that match, so that would kind of be a match that he would kind of target as a match they can work Leal back in and hopefully get him worked back in the line, because we definitely need him. I think we talked about CJ and the lack of scoring, but if we could get another kind of playmaker who can kind of create scoring opportunities back into the team like Leal, that could even help Sapong. That could even help uh, Teal. That certainly would help Hanny. So yeah, we need to get Leo back, and I think we're kind of looking at the Open Cup match. I believe it's Wednesday, April 26th is kind of when they're thinking he's going to be back for that. I think the only other thing I wanted to talk about on this live stream tonight was, if you follow MLS, obviously one of the biggest stories the last week was the incident with Red Bull New York. One of their players, I think it was even his debut match, a player from, I'm not exactly sure where he's from, but I think he came over from a Dutch club or the Netherlands or something like that. And in his debut match, he racially abused a player from the San Jose Earthquakes. A lot of controversy around that. It got even worse because, the report went to the manager of Red Bull New York, what had happened, what had been said. The referee could not take any action because they did not directly hear the statement, but the manager, certainly was within his power when he was told by multiple people what had happened to pull the player out of the game and, just diffuse the situation that way. But he opted to keep the player on, didn't remove him from the game for about 20 more minutes. Since then, I can't pronounce the player's name. It's like Dante Vizaria, something like that. He's been suspended for 6 games. No action has been taken against Red Bull New York's manager for his lack of action. And the supporters groups for Red Bull New York have announced that they are planning to organize a walkout of their next home match and all future matches until either Red Bull New York or MLS itself takes further action against both the manager and the player in the situation. So, um, there's been some drama around like some weird stuff that supporters groups have done over the last couple of years. FC Cincinnati had a weird kind of protest because they didn't like that the team sucked a couple of years ago. Nashville SC, we had our own little embarrassing snafu with the back line issuing a statement, being mad about beer prices and whatnot. So it's good to see like the real important things these supporters groups can do. To shout out the back line, the cool, you know, beautiful moment of silence that they organized for the victims of the Covenant shooting here in Nashville last week. So to see these, big groups that are like the key backbone of the teams, kind of using their platform for good is really awesome. I hope that, MLS and Red Bull see it and recognize it, and it can have the effect that it's desired to have. So that's something to watch, and a really cool thing that I think their supporters groups are doing there. So it's just crazy, like, that's still happening. Like, and I don't know that it's come out what was exactly said. I think sometimes, you come from one culture to another, and it's not excusing it, but these things, you say something that to you is just something you say in your culture, but like you're an idiot and you don't hear my wife laughing. I'm gonna wrap this up because she's about to come in here like a something. But yeah, went from hamstring to lower body injury. Galaxy supporters are boycotting the team until their president Chris Klein is fired. Yeah, I'm not for these protests about just like you're not happy with the way the team's doing. I mean, I get it. It sucks when your team's not good, but I definitely like to see these protests like where it's like a real actual issue that needs to be fixed as being the issue. Um, yeah, German Rodriguez says we should be able to win. I think so too, but our struggles to score right now, you never know what's going to happen with Nashville SC. But I'm expecting to win. I'm expecting a fun day. I'll be vlogging the East Nashville Beer Fest, and then if we go watch the match at a local pub or something like that, I'll have that on the video too. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel with the bell, turn off notifications. That's the signal that the wife is home. We're going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching as always, and until next time, I'll see you at Taco Bell.